Last time on the Great Ace Attorney.
I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night, everything come out, everything is supposed. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
You've said that a few times now, Pat. We know.
What's your name in it? I'll try not to cry, Rolly, but you brought me to tears.
Well, no, clearly I haven't. Everyone but you is crying, actually. And the Baron, but he's an arsehole anyway.
Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rolly?
Oh, you'll have a right good time once I've got through with him. That's for bloody sure. I'm gonna squish him, and there's not gonna be enough for him to fill his fucking helmet.
Leave. Now. Come on, Pat. Let's get out of here, quick.
I'll put my bouquet, Rolly. There, give it
Pat,
back.
we're leaving now. Get out of here.
Rolly! Mrs Garrideb. 38.
She's 38.
And
He's 46.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Life rode him hard and put him away wet. Jesus.
Oh, shut up.
No, it's insolence from the maid.
Oh, shut up, you bumbling old buffoon.
I'll get someone else to look after the Garrideb
I'd
household.
like to see them try. I'd like to see you throw me out that door.
You mean like you tried to do the other day?
Yeah, well.
And you ended up stabbing the lady.
You bloody fool.
Excuse me.
Not when he exhibited the at-me fighting style. So we've now learnt of the origin of the at-me fighting style. It's actually the Garrideb fighting style, but it would be so very like Luke at-me to steal something and claim that it's his.
I have no idea what you're talking
Your
about.
fighting style?
That sounds a little bit like slander.
Your fighting style, my fighting
Can
style.
you not see the family resemblance? I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. I couldn't bear it.
Unless it was my husband. rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you?
Look at how shiny your eyes are.
Oh.
I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to...
Blood bally hell.
It's disciplinary action alone. That's why his face is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's his lip.
God, this hurts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Disillusioned Plays, where we play the games and do the voices. Today, we have for you the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Yeah.
Before we hop on in, I'm Taylor.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Sarah.
Yeah.
Before we hop on in, if you do like what we do, why don't you go ahead and leave a like down below. Hit the subscribe button so that you can see when we post our videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then ring the bell to receive notifications about when that content comes out, or you can check your YouTube feed. That's also what you can do. Anyway,
That's totally valid. Don't follow the algorithm. Don't let your life be dictated by Google.
Pete, don't say bad things about the algorithm. Don't say bad things. You're gonna get us de-optimized.
It's gonna get us cancelled when it's just starting to pick up. Yep.
Don't upset them.
The music's different. I think this did start yesterday. I just kind of didn't notice it.
No.
Okay. The Quiet Life. Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Yes. Oh, sorry, wrong voice. It's not, what's his name? The soldiery one from before.
It's not.
What was his name?
Yes or no, sir?
Yes or no, sir. Yes. Yes. Yes or no, sir. Yes. Not him. It's like, well, yes. Quiet. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. Maid, sir. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question.
I mean, I'll try, but I don't even know if I'm his wife or the maid or the scullery maid. I just don't know anymore.
Sir, at once. Yes, his voice is very much. Yes. I've got to try and remember. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could I could find to throw at him.
Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd notice if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Unless it has my signature conveniently placed on the handle or something, which it probably does. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening.
Do you know? I wonder if the reason why the tip of that knife is gone is because when it hit the top hinged casement window, it knocked the point off, which is why the injury wasn't worse than it was.
I kind of feel like, wouldn't it, like, not have...
I would have thought it'd, like, chipped the window.
Well, no, because it could have hit the frame or something. But what I mean is, like, that's quite a brittle knife, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
And then in that case, would it then... It wouldn't stab someone so easily, right? If it's not got a point on it.
Unless, like, gravity
Right,
affected
well-
it, it's still...
I mean, I guess.
Unless
Yeah,
the-
I mean, that's probably why she was still alive, and because, the knife didn't actually plunge too deeply into her spine.
Well, it's not gone straight into the middle of her back, has it? It was, like, to the side and...
on
or
a
something, I
shoulder.
think. Yeah.
Unless the tip of the knife's still in her.
Just the tips.
Just the tip.
Just the tips. It's got you again. Yeah.
Boom, got
We'll
him.
just have to see, if there's still some knife on the blade.
Come-
Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The army quarters on the hop, sir.
Oh, enemy.
Enemy.
Why did I say army? What the frick is wrong with me?
Pete, what is with you and just, like, inserting the words today? It's not, like, even close. It's just,
I do
like,
it when I'm-
army.
I do it-
I suppose the last letter's the same.
I do it when I'm,
But
I do it when I'm writing as well. Like it's kind of weird. Like I don't just insert a word in, but I'll like think of the end of the word while I'm writing the rest of it and end up like missing a letter and stuff. It's maybe I'm like dyslexic or something and I just don't even know. I don't know. Anyway, the enemy quarters on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we would have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself
At 47.
is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment.
are we still talking about a marital quarrel
Good
here?
question.
Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife.
In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end.
No, I find that very unlikely. Oh, no, I mean, Van Zeeks may well be right.
Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Very well, counsel. Begin your final cross-examination. Ho, ho, ho.
Final. Have you ever played an Ace Attorney game?
Well, I
It's usually about 5.
I can't say that I have.
The Battle of Garrideb. Okay, so yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish.
Press everything.
Okay.
Hold it.
When in doubt, press.
Actually, just before before we jump in, I do want to just take another little look at the knife. Just before we
I don't
kind
think
of.
there was anything on it.
There isn't, is there? Sorry. Like,
No.
there is no
Flick. But there's no blood either.
blood,
blood.
no point, no kind of marking or like of any kind. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to have a look, see if there was just anything like this wasn't there before. Like I don't know, like a logo in a corner in the corner
Oh
of the
my
top.
goodness, Mr. Sergeant, how did we miss all of this blood on this earlier? I have no idea where this came from.
Like the whole thing about the tarp coming from the bio lab. Oh, that logo. How did we miss that?
It seems we are trying to progress the story a little too fast, Mr. Naruhodo.
The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe.
Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly.
Oh, sorry.
Hang on a minute, I'm still thinking.
She's still, she's remembering.
It all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrideb.
A rather passionate note, in fact.
Actually, it wasn't to me, I'll have you know. I can hear you.
But Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little
It
secret.
wasn't my secret, for goodness sake.
Mr. Zato, do you hear a voice?
No, Mr. Naruhodo, I think you're hearing things. She gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too.
Yes, very well remember that.
What a sordid state of affair.
If the judge can hear them, then the Garridebs can hear them.
He's eye up.
Yeah, exactly.
What a sordid state of affairs.
Hell on earth.
But my name's John and it's St. James.
I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up.
His lip quivering.
And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway.
Oh no! I thought you were going to tip tea on him again. A likely story.
These waters run very deep.
And wrong one, Mr. Guy. And what transpired?
And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face?
I just wanted to point out briefly, though, that it's like, the only reason this is even it seems like it's a little bit amusing is because the roles aren't reversed, right? Like, this wouldn't be silly and funny or anything if it was like he found a note that he thought belonged to his wife and then he smacked her across the face a couple times. That would be friggin' horrid.
Yeah, it'd be, be a
it's
different
just-
tone altogether.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be an Ace Attorney game. That sounds like a Danganronpa thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
Oh.
Check out our other videos.
Yeah. But just ignore Teru because he's just vile.
Hold it! And the fire was also a result of the scene where the marital discord flew. After the sparks of marital discord flew, rather. And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it?
The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. It just so happens there was some bathwater around from that Belle Delphine.
Oh, get out.
Took me quite some time to acquire it. Anyway, just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed it about to put it out. Sloshed that about to
It
put
was
it out.
supposed to be some of Joan's bathwater, but it didn't have the same effect as Belle Delphine.
No, it didn't have the same effect as my sweaty balls.
Ew!
My sweaty bathwater.
Most precarious situation you put yourself in.
Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Ooh,
That's a bit-
do they share the water?
Probably.
Oh, Mr. Poor Soseki.
I didn't. Oh, Sorry, I thought you just meant Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. I didn't think you
whole
meant
house.
the whole house.
A whole house.
Yeah.
3-story townhouse.
Oh, no.
No, I think you mean 3-story.
Oh, sorry. 3-story. Had to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see.
The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although that little moustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, he receives a stipend for his... Is it stipend? Stipend?
Stipend.
Stipend. He receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off.
Have you actually seen the state of the man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, if you've seen his room, if you
Well,
remember
yeah.
his room. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough.
Hold it! Even though the room was on fire?
As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw.
Yes, don't I know it?
That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oopsie daisy.
How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't Start again. In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I am no monster. Let me see. Some bread, cabbage, garlic. Oh.
Oh.
A towel, and a sponge, a napkin.
Excuse me!
There we go!
Yay. Oh, Taylor.
Do you have something to...
That makes me very happy. Just that, excuse me! Oh, excellent.
Do you have something to add, sir?
Well, I wouldn't like to go against my wife here. I definitely don't want to lose any more limbs.
Mr. Garrideb!
Don't shoot! Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind?
Yes, trauma.
No,
Much trauma.
nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall.
Yes, and I'd put it on the fire especially.
Ouch!
Yeah. And the woman's aim is uncanny. Oh, no! Oh my goodness. Hang on, I need to, honestly. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me! Ever so sorry, dear.
If you're going to beat me up, for goodness sake, wait until we're at home. Domestic violence isn't tolerated in a court of law.
Your Honor, I feel for that Mr. Garrideb's safety, we should probably remove the teapot from Mrs. Garrideb. If it's any...
You're right, sir.
Sorry. Go on, Taylor.
Go on, Taylor.
What's she even doing with a teapot in here?
I was just thinking, it's like, well, I can't do anything, you see, because, well, if she can't have the teapot, then Lord Van Zeeks can't have his wine bottle. And that just won't do, and I'm not going to tell him.
Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Of bringing my wine to
Yeah. Of bringing my carry-all of wine. And the many glasses.
Oh, it's me.
Yep.
Mrs. Garrideb!
Come on, Joan. Don't keep them all bloody waiting.
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Joan, do you honestly have any freaking clue what you were doing? Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened, hmm?
Oh, this pipe.
Your pipe, sir?
I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles. She did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage.
I see. Your pipe was broken.
Did I stutter, young sir? It would never have been sent flying lest 'twas hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Yeah.
Oh, you all want to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
No, I don't believe he is. I wonder what we should make of this account.
It could be
Could be important.
It feels that way.
Well, it's never let me down so far.
Boom!
The defense believes Mr. Garrideb's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection! This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken.
Oh, you have one then?
Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony.
Indeed. Common sense, one might say. I, in fact, never cross my wife ever because, good golly, I daren't.
Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Ah.
Well, I don't see why not.
Now there will be a piece of the knife in the pipe.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to
Ingratiate.
Sorry, I was like, what the?
That's all right.
Trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
For God's sake, Joan.
Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence.
Personally, I feel that Mr. Garrideb should assert himself more, and his wife should work on her insecurity issues so that she's not taking out her aggression on him quite so often.
Unless they're into that sort of thing.
Well, maybe.
The pipe.
Well, I should hope so, as otherwise I would be inclined to call the authorities on Mr. Garrideb's behalf.
I don't think they'll do anything in this day and age, Taylor. It's kind of a bit accepted, this sort of lark.
And you can't trust coppers now.
Yes,
Look
yes.
at what happened before this.
That's it. Oh, Mr. Beat. Constable Beat.
Ooh, he's a very naughty
He's a bad
boy.
Bobby, he is. A bad Bobby.
Well, they call him Constable Beat, not Constable Does His Job Well.
The pipe has been entered into the court record.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks to Suzetto-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully.
Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
Oh,
There's
there's
a
a
chip.
dick in it.
Oh,
We got-
well, there
Oh!
it is. You were right.
What
Oh
the-
my God.
it's in it! What the hell?
Mr. Garrideb, I'm sorry to point this out, but have you noticed that you've been smoking a knife this entire time?
I've been smoking molten steel. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It's...
The knife, Ryunosuke! It's from the friggin' knife!
It looks like the tip of a blade or something. Just the tip.
Here we go again.
I'm sorry.
To be fair, I started this, so it's my fault.
Yeah, for once, it's not our fault.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Just the tip of a blade? Surely, it couldn't be.
Okay.
now
Flagrant
we're
of metal
getting
has been entered into the cold record. Does that mean we need to examine? I mean, do we examine this as well? I guess we might as well, haven't we?
It looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout out a warning.
What?
Eh?
I'm sorry, what? What do you want? Have you been smoking something in that pipe?
Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Garrideb's dressing.
What's this got?
Ryunosuke, where are you going with this?
Mr. Naruhodo, I think that being sick has made you lightheaded.
Yeah,
You can't think-
he's lost some water, he's dehydrated.
Yeah.
Someone get this man some water!
Get him some fluids, quick!
Before he passes out.
I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Garrideb, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this.
Do you think pipes grow on trees?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, there it is. Either that, or he can't afford to replace it.
Oh, it could have been a wedding present from Mrs. Garrideb.
Oh, I.
No.
There's a small nick out of the bowl here. That's a friggin' good throw, though,
Yeah.
that she didn't, she just took off the corner of the pipe itself.
Scary.
It appears to have been made relatively recently. Now, isn't that convenient, Miss Susato? If only I wasn't as thick as a bowl of oatmeal in my head.
Now, I may be as thick as a whale omelette. But even I know that this has been made relatively recently.
Now, how could you even tell that it's been made relatively recently?
That's because he's
Ryunosuke?
obviously carbon dated it.
Carbon dated.
He got out his little bag of powder and he sprayed some luminol on it and yeah, like I say, carbon dated it.
And see how there are little scrapes and dents all over it. It's clearly a well-loved pipe.
Yes, you're right. It seems to me recently that being well-loved goes in hands with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye, though. Because it's clearly...
How do you know?
Don't know how. Because it's clearly new by something that I'm somehow noticing and yet can't put together the fact that it came from the knife. I'm not angry.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, for goodness sake! What?
It's a wedge of pie.
Dirty pie.
This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
Yep, sure does.
The tip of a blade.
That was really gross, Taylor. That was really freaking gross.
As the set from The Walking Dead just walked in.
I just think it was like Gollum.
No, that sounded like a zombie.
That was my Ibuki noise.
No, that's a Murloc, isn't it? Yep, there we go.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
I don't really know. It's just something.
For God's sake.
Ryunosuke!
There's
Oh my god. Oh.
There's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you're about as useful as a chocolate teapot.
Chocolate teapot.
Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some other pieces of
Oh my god, what are we gonna... Is it like one of those proper point-and-click games where it's like, we have to combine the two items now? Right, okay, so let's examine the knife! Right, so now, if we examine the tip of the knife, do you think he's gonna put 2 and 2 together?
Oh!
Yes, Sato, what?
Is there a problem, Mr. Sato? You seem to be lost for words.
What's all this giggling, Sato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Narrowholder, but just look at the tip. Got me in the same place as before.
Yeah, it's literally the same place. I think it's the same line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like-
Yes, I'm immature. Do I care? No. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
Wait, part of it's missing? Yes!
so painful.
Can you spell knife?
I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this?
That's...
Yes, we do, because we just looked at it 2 seconds ago, Ryunosuke. I really like you, Ryunosuke, but you frustrated me a little bit.
Taylor, it's okay. It's okay. Calm down, Taylor. Take deep breaths. The sun's getting real low.
The sun's going down, it's getting real low. Sun's going down, it's getting real low. Oh my goodness.
Sorry. That's the... Get my voice. That's the tiny fragment of metal that we found in Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
Yes, and just maybe.
If I just get out my small soldering iron here, I wonder if I can combine them.
Oh my! It's a perfect fit.
No shit.
What?
But you're not gonna show us
Yeah.
though? Not even gonna animate them trying to put it together. Somehow, I just knew it. No, you didn't. No, you bally
Oh, what,
didn't,
so-
you fool!
What, we don't even... Okay.
Don't even get to see it put
Does
together.
it update the...
Is it updated?
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there we
yeah,
go,
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
was
The
found
tip
inside
of which
his
was
pipe.
found.
Yeah, inside his pipe bowl. Perfect fit the missing.
It's a perfect fit for the missing tip of the knife found in the victim's back.
Okay.
Byakasha.
Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garrideb. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim?
So now I wonder if we can... Was there a statement where they're like, oh yes, can't say I'd notice if 1 or 2 went missing,
I
I'm
mean,
afraid.
unless they have to press that and they add something
If that
in.
really was one of ours, you'd have a job proving it.
Oh,
would we?
okay, yeah.
Or we can just present it right there.
You can say, would we have a job proving it?
Objection!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that so, Mr. Garrideb? Mr. Garrideb, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please?
I've not got my glasses on, boy. I can't see that tiny thing from here.
The tiny tip.
You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing.
You can't.
My eyesight isn't what it used to be, boy. How do you think I got hit?
But you're only 48.
How do you think I got hit in the head with so many things by the old stick?
Blinded me.
He used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment of... Dead-Eye
Dead-Eye
Deb. Oh, dear. Oh, I caught... Yeah, because he was obviously really good, and I guess now his eyesight's faded. Right, okay. Yeah, he used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the day of... Back in the regiment, of course. That was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days... I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest.
Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter in every other word.
Oh, do shut it, Joan.
You want to be careful, Mr. Garrideb. I'm holding a pot of tea here. You wouldn't like me to find. You wouldn't like
You
me to
must
find your way into your lap.
very...
Sorry, Taylor.
My apologies, I've interrupted you. Pray forgive the discourtesy of interrupting you in the middle of your joke.
God.
You must very dizzy. Doocy.
What is that? A tiny scrap of metal. What?
Yes.
Oh shit, it's Mr. Van Zeeks. Oh, I'm sorry. Pray forgive the discourtesy of doing the wrong voice.
I didn't do the wrong voice.
It sounded a bit like Mr. Garrideb.
No,
It did, actually.
Why don't you bloody well bugger off? Oh. All right then.
Yes, almost certainly from the...
What is that? What is that? A tiny scrap of metal. Shut it.
Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence.
Interesting. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
Did you not see us turning over the pipe and then struggling for about a good 5 minutes to figure out what had happened, even when the other people playing this game had figured it out beforehand?
You mean watching you fabricate evidence, you mean?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there.
And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road?
the echo. It's the echo.
I am!
What?
When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, which I guess I'm going to have to particularly select on even though I've already gone through and examined it, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord.
Oh,
She's got a little butt.
Wait.
She's got a little box!
Yeah, but he's got a burnt bottom. You can see his pants through his dressing gown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a scorch mark up his back.
Oh, I didn't see
She's
that.
got a box.
I didn't see the scorch
Oh,
mark.
my-
I was too busy looking at Mrs. Garrideb's box.
Oh, but
Taylor, my goodness.
You never look at another woman's box.
No, let's just stop that right now. This isn't Danganronpa.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of making a double entendre in full view of the public gallery.
You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well, then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Take that! This is the knife. No, that's not a knife. That's a knife.
This is a knife.
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing.
A common issue with inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones.
Oh.
Eesh.
And what of this particular knife?
No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate. Now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection! No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
Good Lord!
My heart.
Good grief! Lord Van Zeeks?
I don't believe it.
The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh!
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, he does.
Order! 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 Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery?
Yes, abracadabra. I've cracked the case wide open.
This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle.
Miracle?
Well, yes, I've actually invested into faith over int for this particular build, as I'm more fond of miracles than I am of sorceries. That's a Dark Souls.
Oh, intelligence. Right. So I'm just like,
Yes.
into int. What? What is he talking about? Oh.
If you were a real gamer, you would understand.
It's just that, yeah, okay, in this context really threw me using the abbreviation.
A miracle?
So Van Zieks has figured it out, has he?
Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once.
Bippity boppity boom.
Jesus.
You gotta do the Usami voice.
The
Sarah.
bippity boppity boom headshot.
Oh, the song. Oh God, what was it? Bibbity bobbity bibbity bobbity. Turn this evidence into a crucial piece of evidence that will
Yes, my lord. The crucial knife point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did this fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with some of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. I have quite the firm grip, you know.
Dear! Oh dear!
Dearie me.
During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrideb flung this knife at her husband.
Yeesh.
Blade out, which is a little bit terrifying, because she would have had to intentionally open the blade and then throw it, so that might have been a case of attempted murder, but I'm fortunately not trying that case. She's going to have to find a different defense attorney. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrideb. Instead, well, it's a jolly good show it did, because otherwise I don't think his face would be recognizable.
Yes.
The knife missed Mr. Garrideb.
Do you want to know how I got these scars?
Oh dear.
The knife missed Mr. Garrideb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time.
Which caused the tip to break off, of course. Tip to break off. Of course.
Good Lord!
Yes, and that is when the...
You're right, Taylor.
It's not the size, it's how you use it.
Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1.
And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe.
Oh my
Then,
gosh.
after losing its tip,
God's sake.
the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open top-hinged casement window.
Gosh.
In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrideb's house,
Spinny.
is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below.
Wow, it was the middle.
Jesus. Oh gosh! Oh dear! Oh!
I'm sure we all know by now who it is.
Uh-oh. Oh, that was quick. Heads up, gallery!
A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that.
Gasp!
A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage.
Are we talking about wine?
Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument.
Just not to put too fine a point on it, but how would you know what's characteristic of the Nipponese or not? I'm like the first Japanese lawyer that's even set foot in England. Sorry?
But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see,
A game theory.
I love it.
it's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency.
Oh, bother.
An insurmountable... What?
Lord Van Zieks, could you please put your leg down and explain yourself? What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified?
An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back.
Yes, in her...
Because she bent down to pick the book up.
Pick up the book,
Oh,
yeah.
right, yeah, okay, yeah. As opposed to the top of her skull, I suppose.
Oh! That's right, you silly little man!
Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, well, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Unless these hapless gamers have already figured it out.
Order! Order!
Quite right! You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head!
God, bloody hell.
You stop hitting me, Joe.
Well... Ryunosuke, the book,
He's lost for
the
words.
book, you
I knew
idiot!
it. I
The
never liked
book!
this theory in the first place.
I don't know, though, what really did happen.
It's quite a conundrum, isn't it? Quite a weird one.
It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder.
If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history.
We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way's been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency.
Or another one?
Is this
I don't know.
Kazuma?
Or
God,
no, I
is
don't
it?
think so. I don't think so just
Or is
yet.
it Cesato?
Or another word.
Or in other words...
Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand.
Miss Susato!
You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you are on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It's the book.
Yeah.
It's going to be the book.
Yeah, it's the book.
Because she bent down to pick up the book.
Gasp!
In Japanese.
Lenny! Oh! Oh!
Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh! That's the Japanese. That's a Japanese gasp. Oh! It's the out and then quickly back in again. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. Wait a minute.
Tacit. Pete, this was the wordle word. How do you forget it?
I know. I'm just thinking
yes,
wait a minute.
was.
Where have I seen this? And yeah, the frickin' Wordle word. God damn it, Wordle. A tacit acceptance of a tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. Oh no, oh my.
Objection!
Oh, I'm gonna knock his block up.
And it was the sword that said it.
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth.
Like a blade.
Michael Bay. It's a test.
Oh.
Yes! If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back.
Smug.
Under normal circumstances, that is.
What are you implying?
Counsel? You need to tread very carefully here, Counsel. Because if you say some utter bullshit, we're absolutely not going to tolerate it in court.
There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. But I'm not going to say it. I'm going to make the people playing choose it.
Goodness!
And I'm just going to do a little wee safety save. I mean, I know it's the book, but
Yeah.
just in case it's one of those where it's like we have to present every piece of evidence.
Penalty.
Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak.
This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is...
Boom.
The book.
Take that! This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present.
The burnt book.
Is that not Mr. Garrideb's book?
The burnt.
Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand, after Brody beat tampered with the evidence moved across the street.
But as we all
in her
know,
hand. But details!
but as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that.
Quite so. As part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road.
That's true, however. As part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand?
Oh, well, so that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound.
Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything.
So, the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand?
By jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garrideb household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past.
Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw?
Yes, Mrs. Garrideb. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Sprint 1,000 miles.
Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Yes! That is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book,
Yeesh.
the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Well, I never.
It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the ground. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
And from the other direction. The constable and his wife saw none but the victim and her apparent attacker.
So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place.
No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events, a series of unfortunate events, you might say, that culminated in an unfortunate accident.
Swing.
And that is the real truth behind this case.
Looks like he's got a tiny arm.
My goodness.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb,
Very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that.
There, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Garrideb.
poor Mr. Garrideb.
Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I'll take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear.
It's all right. I know.
I'm ever so sorry.
I mean, it's a bit late for that now. We are in court. But you are my wife.
No. Truly. I'm sorry! Oh.
Oh, there she
Is he
goes.
gonna catch her? Yeah, he's a good husband. He struggles, but he's...
Oh, my aching knee.
Oh dear, the pants.
Oh dear.
Well, he broke a fall.
Oh.
Chivalry
Yes, he
is
did.
not dead, ladies
No,
and gentlemen.
it's not. Bless him. Oh.
Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garrideb?
She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Or am I not the Reaper of the Old Bailey?
Uh-oh.
Or is my name not the Reaper of the Old Bailey?
Oh, she dead.
Now, if you'll excuse me, pray forgive the, oh God, I forgot the word.
Courtesy.
Discourtesy, yeah.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of setting fire to the hospital Mrs. Garrideb is in.
God.
I do have a reputation to uphold.
I
after
do
all.
hope there's not an unfortunate fire.
Yes. Unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions.
There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon.
It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems.
And then a fire breaks out and it kills not only her, but Mrs. Garrideb and her.
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose no. So Seki's really the one, and it would be the one in danger,
Well,
presumably.
yeah,
because,
you would
know,
think so. Yeah.
Well, because like it was the same with Mr. McGilded. When he wasn't satisfied with the outcome, he mysteriously perished in a fire.
Yes.
Yes, that is good news. Although, unlike the one with Mr. McGilded, there really doesn't seem to be any kind of room for doubt about Soseki's guilt.
So, Mr. Soseki Natsume,
Who's talking?
Yes.
on behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies.
No, it is me who should be begging your pardon.
Oh, no, Mr. Natsume.
That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes,
Shut up.
I
up.
jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my
Shut up.
confusion.
Mr. Natsume, I have just convinced the court that you're not guilty. Please do not throw yourself under the bus. Carriage.
The omnibus.
Under the carriage. On the-
What conclusion, sir?
But what conclusion in...
But what is that?
Sorry, go on, Taylor. You can see us out.
No, please.
I think Taylor was going to do it as a joke, and then it's actually for realsies.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry to drag the joke carpet from under your feet, Taylor.
I have taken your joke and I've replaced it with actual fact.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of ripping the joke carpet out from underneath you.
Yes, unfortunately, we are out of time, dear viewers.
Yes.
But if you do like what we do, why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? Ring that notification bell for information about our uploads every Wednesday and Saturday.
Yeah. And as I say, if you drop a comment, we do read them all. We try and reply to all of them. So, it'd be cool. Do what your thing.
We like to read them.
Yeah.
But with that, until next time, goodbye for now.
See ya.
And be very careful picking up any books you may find on the ground, because you never know when you might get stabbed
God, by
I'm
flying
sorry,
daggers.
pick them up from the floor!